Does it make sense to jump on the current Tezos rally? That's the question of this video, because we are currently looking at more than 10% of a price move in the last 24 hours. So in order to answer this question, we will look at all kinds of metrics. We will look obviously at the standard technical analysis, as in where is Tezos price in US dollars currently. We're also going to look at relative valuation to Ethereum or to Bitcoin, but we are not just going to look at price data. We are also going to look at total value locked statistics. What are the most used decentralized applications on Tezos? And last but not least, we will have a look at a backtest of Tezos. How can we trade the XTZ token? So a lot of interesting content. Let's stop with the fluff and jump right in. So what I found interesting around Tezos is this long-term chart. In a lot of ways, the Tezos price seems to be somewhat predictable. Of course, the problem with US dollar charts is always the high correlation to the general crypto market, right? When we look at the bottoms, for example, here on the 19th of July, roughly, we also had a bottom at exactly the same time here in Ethereum. We also see this in Bitcoin. And the same is true for the top, right? The top here in Ethereum was on the 8th of November. For Tezos, the 8th of November wasn't necessarily a top, but it was also relatively elevated. So what we actually want to look at is relative valuation. How is Tezos out or underperforming the main cryptocurrencies? So the most straightforward way to do this is to simply look at Tezos versus Bitcoin. And we can see Tezos did not necessarily outperform the safest of the cryptocurrencies, right? Since launch, we are at a loss of 63%. But this has changed since the beginning of last year, when the altcoins in general somewhat gained ground against Bitcoin. So Tezos outperformed Bitcoin during that time period by 43%. Now, this outperformance is no real surprise because Bitcoin dominance, so the fraction of Bitcoin of all of cryptocurrencies market cap, it went down massively, right? So at the beginning of 2021, more than 70% of all of crypto was in Bitcoin. Now that's only 42% roughly. So all that capital, it went into altcoins, and Tezos was able to somewhat profit from this. Not massively, but somewhat. Now the picture changes when we look at Tezos versus Ethereum. And we want to make that comparison because Ethereum is the largest of the altcoins. It's the dominating smart contract platform. And this long-term trend doesn't look as pretty, right? So an underperformance of 85% almost. That all being said, we seem to be pretty close to a bottom. We seem to be stabilizing somewhat. And one might argue that the current risk to potential reward is relatively favorable for Tezos. In the end, we all want to buy low and sell high. And this does look like a low point where we potentially might find some kind of support. The nice thing about Tezos is also we can simply just buy the Binance Smart Chain token for this. So contrary to a lot of other altcoins that are currently doing relatively well, we do not have to necessarily go to a centralized exchange to buy this, or we don't have to necessarily bridge over funds. We can simply just use the Binance Smart Chain and exchange our BNB for XTZ. Now, not everything is rosy. When we look at DeFi Llama to determine how is actually the current adoption happening here, we see Tezos at rank 39 in terms of total value locked. So there's only around 100 million worth of assets locked up in the Tezos blockchain. And that's not high at all, right? When we look at the Binance Smart Chain, we have 13 billion. When we look at Phantom, we've got almost 7 billion. Even Tron has almost 5 billion. So according to this metric, Tezos is quite a lot behind. And the overall momentum doesn't look that bullish either, right? So this is the total value locked development of Tezos. Measured in XTZ, it's relatively flat. So a lot of this decline here is simply just price decline, but still there's no positive momentum here. Now there's two ways you can look at this, right? You could simply, if you are long-term bullish on this, just buy and hold this. But then you have to be okay to temporarily see quite massive drops versus other cryptocurrencies, or even in US dollars, right? We might see a drop temporarily of more than 70%. So you could do that. You could simply just buy and forget and hope that Tezos will, at least in US dollar terms, continue to appreciate. You probably also want the outperformance versus Bitcoin and Ethereum because Tezos is more risky than Bitcoin, right? That should be a no-brainer. The market dominance of Tezos is 0.17%, so a comparatively low market cap to Bitcoin that has a dominance of 40% or Ethereum that's got a dominance of 20%. So there's way more risk here, and that risk should be compensated with more performance. So buying and holding is one option, right? You have to be right when the overall market is wrong here though. So you're better fundamentally more informed than the average market participant. An alternative way is to try to time these ups and downs. And that's not always very easy, right? Ideally, we want to have an approach that we can backtest. And what I like to do on this channel is I like to use moving averages because it gives us a very clear momentum following strategy with very clear rules of buying and selling. And the idea is we want to be in the market when the price is above the moving average. So we would gain whenever something like this happens. And we won't be outside of the market whenever the price is below the moving average. So we would not be in this kind of a decline. When following such a strategy, the question is always, what's the optimal duration of that moving average? Should we take maybe a 25-day moving average and enter very quickly and exit very quickly? Or should we take a longer term moving average to then potentially also have less failed signals, right? When we are very close here with this moving average, we might go in and out of the market relatively often, incurring trading fees, incurring bad trades. If we are too slow on the moving average, we might be already crashing for quite a while before actually reacting. So there's a balance to be made here. And that's why I want to backtest the strategy, simulate buying and selling, and find out what works best. So let's just do that. Let's use this Excel sheet that you can download in the statistics library of the premium membership. So let's look at the best simple and exponential moving average. Let's run the test. And when we look at the results over here, we can see on the x-axis is the duration of the moving average. On the y-axis is the annualized return. Buying and holding would have given us 40% per annum. But if we take, say, a simple moving average of the duration 49, we would have outperformed buying and holding quite a bit. So that's quite common with a lot of cryptocurrencies. The simple moving average tends to outperform the exponential one. The best exponential moving average duration is 44. So let's look at both in the live chart. So again, same color coding. The simple moving average is in green. The exponential one is in red. That's what we are looking at. So this is what historically worked the best. Currently, we are above both of those moving averages. Now note, this is no perfect approach, right? Sometimes we are above both moving averages and we might be buying high and selling low. And this can even happen several times in a row until we actually get some really positive trades here. But that's why we do the backtest. That's why I want to find out what historically worked the best. And that's the result here. So if we don't just want to buy and hold, this is probably how we could set our potential stop losses. Or at least what kind of prices we would have to look at to potentially exit the market again where momentum might turn around. So these moving averages, they are currently increasing, right? But the current level where you might turn bearish again is at around $3.50 or so. Note the backtest, the simulation of buying and selling, has simply been made by looking at the end of day prices. So the price at midnight UTC time zone, that's where we look at the price and where we potentially buy or sell. The trading fees I've assumed are 0.1%. Now that's the fees you pay when you trade on a centralized exchange. On a decentralized exchange such as 1inch or so, you might be paying more, maybe 0.25 or so. But the final result is probably not going to be that different. Let's look at it with 0.25 and see the final end performance annualized. It's the same kind of moving averages. So how does this look like in practice? That's how the trading strategy would have performed. So this is a linear scale. This is a logarithmic scale. Sometimes we bet on falling prices, right? When the price is below the simple moving average. So we are increasing in value while buying and holding brings losses, and sometimes we follow the price movements. You can also simulate this without betting on falling prices. So let's only buy and sell. That's then how that kind of a chart would look like, right? So sometimes we just go sideways, we are in cash, no passive income, no DeFi returns are in here. You simply just stay in cash and don't do anything with the money. Now, as mentioned, you can download that sheet here in the premium membership in the statistics library. We've got different Excel sheets coming out almost daily. There's also video tutorials on how to build such an Excel sheet. So that's here in the tutorial section. There's also mindset videos, daily market updates, even an entire course on technical analysis on different technical indicators. So that's at thebitcoinstrategy.com. Link is in the video description. You can sign up either monthly or decide to sign up yearly and get 2 months for free. Now I keep publishing free content here on the YouTube channel, so don't forget to subscribe. And if you're wondering how I currently see the overall crypto market, what is Bitcoin currently doing, what does the on-chain statistics say, feel free to check out this video. A lot of value over there. I'm sure you will enjoy this content as well. See you in that video. Thanks for watching this one, and bye-bye.